Good morning, good afternoon. I want to welcome you to another info-free webinar. And I'm really excited to be here today. We're going to kind of do a couple minor adjustments here real quick, get everything looking right. And what I want to say is thank you for being part of this event. Now, actually, I'm starting a few minutes early. And the whole reason I'm starting this a few minutes early is because I want to give you some bonus tips and some bonus ideas from a prospecting standpoint that you can use right now. Here's the first one. We are right now on the cusp of November 1st. And for many people are going to say, well, I really can't be prospecting between now and really the first year. And I'm going to say, no, that's false. Here's why. For many, many industries, and those of you listening, those of you watching this, really know this, that, wow, there are really spot on opportunities right now to prospect because people are in the mood to buy. But here's why I like, regardless of the industry. People get into different cycles. People who don't normally take your phone call are going to take your phone call now. Why? Because they're just in a different mode. They're just in a different frame. B, people will take your email. They'll respond to it because, again, they're in a different mode. Here's what I found, and this applies for both B2B and B2C. What I found is this. Many times this time of year, people get busy. Yeah, but you know what? Many times people have to take vacation time. They have to take vacation time because otherwise they use it or lose it. So what do they sitting around? So the phone rings and they answer it. And they answer it and they have a conversation. Many times what's interesting is I found is I can be contacting people and I get people to answer the phone that don't answer the phone any other time of year. This even applies to Thanksgiving week. This even applies to the last couple of weeks of the year. Don't discount. Don't think for a moment, because here's what's very interesting. Your competitor is probably thinking, oh, I can't prospect. Oh, I can't prospect. So guess what? That means there's more opportunities for you. That's just a little bit of a bonus tip that I wanted to share with you just to get you kind of thinking about how do I prospect and how do I make it more effective. Now, here's one more for you. I want you at this time of year especially to be changing up your messaging. It really becomes more important than ever to be personal in your messages. Now, why? Well, if you think about it, November, December, people get into this little bit of a reflection mode, and there's a lot of parties going on, a lot of entertaining, and just a lot of stuff going on. And it's amazing, again, how conversations change. And I'm gonna challenge you. The more personal you make your messages be this time of year, the more successful you're going to be. So anyway, those are just a couple quick tips. We're going to get going here in just a moment. My name is Mark Hunter, the Sales Hunter. And several people asked me last time, wow, is that your real name? Yes, that is my real name. I did not change it. And I did write the book, High Profit Prospecting. And again, what I'm going to be sharing with you are some tips and ideas from the book. But we're going to start here in just a couple of minutes because I know people are getting on the call right now, and that's absolutely terrific. I'm looking forward to having everybody on the call in just a moment. But in the meantime, one additional little tip that you might find very interesting, very unusual. When was the last time you took an email, you took a phone call, and you said, I wonder how this would work with somebody else? What do I mean by this? Here's what I want you to do. I want you to try a little bit of testing. I can sit here and I can spout out all kinds of averages, but I'll tell you what I found. You, your market, your customers, your style, your approach, and most of all, your attitude and your level of motivation. What do I mean by this? Sometimes what will happen is people will take an email or they'll take a phone script. Yeah, you can use scripts from a year ago, and they suddenly tried again. And wow, it works great. It works great. You know why? Because you just tried it again. Never discount anything. Emphasize that enough. And again, let me share with you one more little quick tip, quick idea from a prospecting standpoint. Here's what you want to be careful of. You want to be careful that you're not getting just warm leads. Now, here's why I really like Infofree, because Infofree gives me a big enough of a database that I can cut and slice and really get down to the very specific person I want to get to. That's what I like about Infofree. Why? Because what I want to do is I just don't want to get interested people. I want really interested people. What do I mean by this? So a lot of times that I'll run into people who are who are responding to me, or they're talking to me on the phone call, but really all they do is they just have a heartbeat. My dog has got a heartbeat, but my dog is never going to buy from me. What I want to do is this. I want to make sure that I've got people who are engaged. So I'm not going to hesitate to ask the tough questions early on. But hey, we'll get into that in just a moment. We're going to start here in about 30 seconds. Welcome to the webinar. My name is Mark Hunter, the Sales Hunter, and I've got a very special webinar just for you. Now, we did not open this webinar up to everybody. No, we opened this up to only specifically Infofree users. Why? Because of two reasons. One, I believe in the product. I very much believe in the product, and I'll share with you. And this is not a commercial, but I believe in the product because I wrote the book, High Profit Prospecting. And one of the challenges that I talk about is how do you find the right prospects? And that's what I do like about Infofree, because it does. But one of the challenges and one of the problems is, for as good as it is in terms of giving you all of this information, it can almost overwhelm you. And I get that. And the problem is all the information in the world isn't doing anybody any good unless you actually use it. And again, that's what I want to get you to right now with this piece right here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to share with you, and this again is just for Infofree users or people who have used it in the past. And I'm going to get down into 4 very specific things over the next 55 minutes. And at the end, I'm going to give you my cell number and my email, because I want to hear from you. Because one of the things that I want to provide to you is I want to give you, I'm so committed to prospecting in both B2B and B2C. I'm so committed that I want to see you succeed, that able to really create that message that's going to work just perfect for you. Now, I'm calling this high profit prospecting because I wrote the book High Profit Prospecting, but it really is designed about a lot of strategies. And again, I've had a chance to work with a lot of companies over the last 15 years that I've been doing this, and we've developed a ton of strategies. Proven strategies. And I'm going to share with you for both B2B and B2C. Now, here's the whole thing. Thinking about prospecting is not prospecting. One of the biggest challenges that I run into is I hear people who say they buy a database, they get access, they get Infofree. And they think they're going to use it, but they never get around to using it. And that's what I really want to dig into here. Because here's the whole thing. Infofree has so many different tools to it. It's massive. It's massive. What I want to show you here is I'm going to show you how to just pull down and just get a little tiny slice. Because what I want to do is I just want to get a little slice. I can be very, very successful when I'm doing just a slice. But sometimes what I can do is I got to look really far and wide. Now, the challenge is it really can kind of seem like, it's huge. But there's 4 things I'm going to walk through here today. Making the first call, voicemail, pros and cons. I'm going to share with you voicemail because voicemail does work. It's a great, great tool. I'm going to share with you how to really use email right. And I really get hesitant on it because too many people are using email wrong. And more people are using email wrong than are using voicemail wrong. And the 4th thing is the art of follow-up. Because again, if you don't follow up, you're not going to be successful. I don't want you to feel like you are beating your head against the wall. Please don't do that. Now, here's the problem. Too many people feel, well, prospecting is so daunting, so hard, so difficult. They just never get around to it. And I get that. But again, I'm going to share with you some strategies. So take out a note, take out a notepad, get a pen, and I want you to jot down some ideas. We're going to be making a recording of this available. You're going to be able to get a link to this. And again, I want you to dig in and I want you to grab those things, because here's what I found. I teach thousands of salespeople every year how to prospect. And believe me, the results we've had have been absolutely terrific, fantastic. And what I found is nobody has put into play everything. It's impossible. What you do is you put into play the 3 or 4 strategies that work for you. Now, here's the challenge. I can't sit there and say, do 1, 2, 3, 4. I can't, because I don't know you and your personality. You and your personality. More than anything else, you and your personality are going to drive your prospecting results. So what you got to do is you got to take, here's half a dozen or a dozen, and then you put them through your process. You work through them, and then you determine what actually works. Now, let's talk about the first one, making the first call. When I mean the first call, you've got this phone, you've got this name, you got this phone number. What do I do on this first call? First of all, understand that you are up against the clock, but never, ever sit there and say, is this a good time to talk? Now, think about this for a moment, just a moment. You called somebody up and you said, hi, I'm Mark Hunter, and is this a good time to talk? Well, no, you interrupted them. And of course, they're going to say, no, it's not a good time to talk. And don't say, well, I'm going to do that as a courtesy. No, not at all. Here's what I found. Do you believe in what you sell? Do you believe in how you can help people? Yeah, then you want to tell people. What I like to do is if I'm in a B2C situation, I'm going to say, hi, I'm Mark Hunter, and I just want to ask you 2 questions. That's it. I just want to ask you 2 questions. That's how I start off the call. If I'm in a B2B situation, excuse me, I'm even going to sit there and say that. You see, my whole goal is I only want to get you on the phone for just a couple of minutes. In fact, I'm going to consider this first phone call a success if it's only 20 seconds. Because what am I trying to do? I'm using binoculars to do 2 things. I want to learn one piece of information, and I want to be able to earn the right, the privilege, honor, and respect, preferably at a scheduled time. That's it. Too many times people sit there and they try to make this first phone call be everything. I'm gonna take this person all the way through to the close. Okay, now if you are maybe in a real short sales cycle item, you can do that. But the vast majority of you buying buying Infofree using databases, whether you're financial services, real estate, insurance, collection, whatever it might be, you're in a longer sales cycle. So my whole objective is I want to be able to use the time to be able to say, hey, how can I learn one piece of information about you? Preferably need, but most importantly, something that gives me a reason to follow up with you. And what I want to do is I want to try to say, can we schedule a time that I'll call you back next Tuesday at 10 o'clock or tomorrow at 10 o'clock, and schedule a time that is appropriate and comfortable for both. Now, they may not say that. Okay, that's okay. Then you say, fine. Okay, I'm going to sit there and I've only got you for a minute. Hi, I'm Mark Hunter, and I've got 2 questions for you. And I'm going to sit there and ask questions. I'm going to say, how are you doing with year-end this? Or have you noticed, have you heard about changes in these regulations or changes in these? I like asking questions regarding something that's kind of in the news and something that's going to be of interest to them, going to spark their interest. You might be a real estate person, so you might say, hey, have you noticed all of the homes that have been selling in your neighborhood lately? You might be in B2B, and so you sit there and say, hey, how are you doing with changes regarding the cloud? If you're selling software, maybe you're selling business services, or you're a temp staffing firm, you're saying, hey, how are you doing in terms of addressing staffing needs? You see, what I'm doing is, all I'm doing is I'm trying to uncover a piece of information. I'm using binoculars because I want you to share with me. Now, you may not share with me anything at all. And you say, hey, fine. What is it that you want? Then I'll go ahead and share with them. But I'm trying to keep brief. And then if they say, who are you with? I might share with them. But I'm not necessarily going to go into saying what I can do to help you until you've told me a need. And what I'm going to say is, I'm going to say, hey, well, you know what? I do want to share with you some information, but this might not be a good time for you. So tomorrow morning, how would tomorrow morning at 10 o'clock? Hey, wait a minute, Mark. If the customer has time now, fine. If they stop and say they have time now, then go ahead. What I don't want them to do is to sit there and say, why don't you email me some information? Why don't you no. What are they doing? They're blowing you off. I never allow the follow-up to be email, because all they're going to do is blow you off. Oh, well, I can email them some information. You say, and how you respond to the email person is you sit there and say, your time is valuable. And I got so many different ideas, so many different solutions. It really, we'd save time if we just spend a couple minutes and I could kind of understand more about your needs. You see what I'm doing here? I'm trying to come across in a personable manner, because what's my objective? I want to be able to hear your needs. I just don't want to send you back information. When I send people back information by way of email, what am I doing? I'm allowing them to say, I got them off my back. I don't need to talk with them again. And I'm probably giving them enough information to make the decision where they don't have to talk with me. Big mistake. Never in a prospecting call do I want to give you enough information to make a decision without talking to me again. So let's go back and let's recap. What is this first call all about? Hi, Joan, I'm Mark Hunter. Have you noticed the changes in tax laws? Have you noticed, have you seen this? Well, no, I haven't. Right, yeah, a lot of interesting changes, and it's impacting a lot of people. And then I can sit there and ask them a little more directional, because what I'm doing is I'm listening for one need, one idea that they might be able to share with me. They stop me and say, who are you with? Fine, I'll share with them. But I'm then going to come back and say, and what was one of those needs? How might this be affecting you? And you notice how you're visually seeing me, and I'm kind of using my eye slanted. I mean, not my eye slant, but I'm kind of leaning into it. I'm getting a little facial expression. You do want to have that on a telephone call. It's amazing how your body language comes through on a telephone call, because your tone of voice changes. Because what am I trying to do? I'm trying to engage the customer. All I'm trying to do is I'm trying to earn the right, the privilege, honor, and respect. Again, let's go to number 2, voicemail, pros and cons. Now, there are pros and cons on this. Now, hold on. We just got some comments coming in. This is absolutely terrific. And I cannot get onto the webinar. Somebody's saying that. Well, I'll tell you what, we are live on there. So I'm not quite sure what the challenge is, but I'm going to hopefully hang with it, stay with it. You'll be there. Let me share with you this piece right here. Pros and cons on voicemail. Voicemail pros and cons. You can send out a good voicemail, but don't expect a single voicemail to do the trick. It's not going to. A single voicemail will not do the trick. You have to think of it like you're stacking boxes. You're going to probably have 4 or 5 voicemails. Now, here's the key though. How many times have you had a voicemail where you have listened to a voicemail that the person just drones on and on and on? And you know what? I can't have that at all. We got some more messages coming in. This is terrific. Terrific. Great. People are connecting. Terrific. Thank you so much for passing that note along. Yeah, you do kind of have to hit a refresh. Sometimes the screen kicks out there, and I absolutely apologize with that. It's one of those things when we do things live. But again, I'm going to share with you some information at the end that you can stay in contact with me. Let's come back to this voicemail. The whole thing here is I'm going to probably send you 3 to 4 voicemails, but here's the whole thing. Every voicemail has got to be different. And oh, by the way, every voicemail has got to be short. Because remember, I made the comment, how many times have you listened to that voicemail where the person just drones on and on? And what do? You star 5, you delete, you hang up. What you want to do is you want to have a voicemail that has 11 to 14 seconds. Wow. 11 to 14. Yeah. 11 to 14 seconds. That's it. That's as long as you want to go. Now, here's why. Here's why you want to keep it short. All you're trying to do is really stack another box on top of each other. Because here's what's interesting. The person's probably not going to respond to you off of one voicemail. No, they're not. But what I want to do is if I communicate with you, connect with you 2, 3, or 4 times, and each time it's a different message, and it's key. Each time it's a different message. Then you're going to say, hey, I do want to talk with this person. I do see it of interest. Now, here's the other 2 things. It's got to have energy. Now, do you hear that in my voice? I've got energy in my voice. Think about this. Again, there's no way you're ever going to want to talk to somebody if they're coming across like a drone. There's no way. Now, the key is also the value has to be to the person, not to you. It's not, hi, I'm Mark Hunter, the sales hunter, and I help companies. Oh, shut up. That's boring. I don't want to hear that. What I want to say is I want to say this. Hi, I'm Mark Hunter, the sales hunter. I got some new insights regarding changes for 2017. Give me a call, Mark Hunter, 402-445-2110. 402-445-2110. Now, I don't know if you were taping that, but be interested to kind of go back and tape that. That message was probably only about 13 or 14 seconds long, but did you notice something? I didn't really waste any words. Now, I did say Mark Hunter, the sales hunter, just because that's, unfortunately, more people know me as the sales hunter than Mark Hunter, but I don't say my company name. I don't really go into any of that sort of specific stuff. It's not necessary. What I'm saying is I'm sharing you one piece of information. I got some insights regarding something. Call me back at, and I'm giving you my phone number twice. Have you ever listened to a voicemail that maybe you do want to respond and you have to listen to it 2 or 3 times to get the phone number? Oh, what is that telling people? No. I want to give you my phone number twice. And I'm going to say each individual digit separately. Now think about that for a moment. What am I doing? I'm inviting you to call back. Now, I'm not expecting you to call back. I get that, okay? I totally get that. I understand. But what I'm doing is, if I leave you a voicemail today, and then I leave you a voicemail next week, and I leave you a voicemail the following week, and each one's different. Remember, each one's different. That's going to begin to get you looking at me in a different light. It's one of the key things. Never, ever sit there and say, hey, Ross, Mark Hunter, I left you an email and I wanted to know if you, oh, wow. Now what am I doing is I'm linking a voicemail with an email, or I'm linking this with, no, never do that. Never do that. Because you know what I'm going to say is this. A, you got my voicemail. So don't say in an email, did you get my voicemail? And oh, by the way, you got my email. So don't say in a voicemail, you got my email. No, it's stupid. What you're doing is you're insulting me. Because, oh, by the way, that email you sent me wasn't any good. That's why I chose to ignore it. Or that voicemail wasn't any good. Oh, well, it wasn't any good. It just didn't bring enough value to me. Now, here's something to keep in mind. The whole premise is you might be sending a voicemail to somebody, and it might resonate to them, but not enough to really warrant a change. Now, stop and think about this for a moment. I look at voicemails the way I look at billboards along the side of the road. I live in Omaha, Nebraska. If I were to be driving to Chicago, I would probably pass 15 to 20 McDonald's along the way. And I can guarantee it that in front of, a mile and ahead of each off-ramp to that McDonald's, there's going to be a billboard that's going to say McDonald's. Now, I don't stop at every one. But what does that do just by seeing those signs? Somewhere along the line, I may need to use the restroom. I may want to get something to drink or grab something to eat. And you know what? McDonald's is going to probably pop into my mind. You see, what I'm doing here is my voicemail messaging is really a form of very tight marketing. Because what am I doing? I'm leaving you a message that is about you and has energy, and it's 11 to 14 seconds. You see what I'm doing? I'm stacking the boxes on top of each other. Now, what does this mean? This means you're going to have repetition. And again, this is why I like Infofree. I like Infofree is because many of you who are on this webinar today, small solopreneurs like me. I've only got 2 people in my company. Well, 2.5 people in my company. I guess if you include me, it's 3.5 people. Okay, but it's a small company. And we're not going to invest big money in a CRM system. But see, the Infofree CRM system can provide that for you. What is it can do? It can create that callback tool that you want to be using. Now, here's why I like this. Because if I leave you one voicemail and I don't do anything more, it really was a wasted voicemail. What I got to do is I got to leave a message. Now, Some of the best prospecting information I have ever found comes on the back of a shampoo bottle. You know what it says on the back of a shampoo bottle. It has that one little word called repeat, repeat. And that's how you keep stacking a box on top of each other. Now, let's come back and let's kind of put a bow around this in terms of really making it about you. Here's one other really cool way that I like regarding making the message about you. When I'm going to start off my telephone calls for the day, my prospecting calls, I know my call can go one of three ways. We've talked about the call. We've talked about the voicemail. I can go to the gatekeeper. I don't really have time today to talk about the gatekeeper. Well, I'll make sure that we do some additional webinars and just talk about that. But here's what I found. Prepared for my call to go to the person or voicemail. And that is completely different. Too many people leave bad voicemails because they really were expecting you to answer the phone. Or they have a bad dialogue on the phone because they were expecting it to go to voicemail. And you always get their voicemail. So you just naturally call and you expect their, and they pick up and they go, oh, and it catches you off guard. Here's what I want you to do. When you set up your day to do your prospecting telephone calls, okay, what I like doing is I like staying focused in one area. I'm going to stay focused with one type of prospect. It may be small business owners. It may be high net worth individuals. It might be insurance. It might be retailer. It might be whatever. But I like working in one area. Now, here's why. Because what I can do is I can say, okay, the questions I ask if I get you on the phone live are going to be basically the same for all of these people I'm going to call today. And the voicemail I'm going to leave is going to be basically the same. You see what happened is I get into a cadence. I get into a repetition. But what I love doing is being able to connect it back to something that just happened in the news. The more I can tie this into what's happening right now today, the more relevant I seem. Now, again, think about this for a moment. The messages that hit home to you because they resonate with something that you've got going on. It's a need you've got. Now, don't think that every need that you think they have at that same time. No, they don't. So again, what I'm doing is I've got to create this cadence. I've got to create this repetition because you may not have this need today, but just because you don't have this need today doesn't mean you're not a prospect to me. You're just not a prospect today. No response does not mean no response permanently. It just means no response at this moment in time. That's why I always want to make sure that every phone call and every voicemail I leave with you is different. I have to make it different because you may not have responded to this need, but you do respond to this need. Now, the third piece here that I want to talk about is really email. What are email strategies that work? Wow, this one really catches a lot of people wrong. Now, here's what I want you to be very cautious of. I do not want you to sit there and take the exact same voicemail message that you left and now frame it up as the email you send out. No, that's just as bad as sitting there sending them an email saying, I just left you a voicemail, or sending them a voicemail saying, I just left you an email. That's just as bad. I can take the same information, but I'm going to phrase it differently. I'm going to phrase it differently. And I'll get into that in just a moment. But here's one of the critical things, and this is what drives me nuts. In fact, it's interesting. I was in the Infofree offices yesterday and talking with a number of the salespeople and customer service people. And one of the things that one of the people was somebody who was sitting there saying they want to send out 1,000 emails a day. And I go, 1,000 emails a day. How can you respond to that? You know what you're doing? You're just on a freeway. You're just pushing all this stuff through. Don't do that. Here's what I found. A bad email sent to one person is a bad email. A bad email sent to 1,000 people is 1,000 times bad. It really is dumb. Now, here's what you got to keep in mind. The email that you're sending out, you are probably crafting it on a laptop or a desktop. But the recipient, the person you're sending it to, may very well be viewing it on a smart device, either a tablet or a phone. Now think about this for a moment. The screen is a lot smaller. What you think is a great email, wow, this is like, oh, this is perfect, this is wonderful, stinks because it doesn't look right on a smart device. One of the things I want you to do, prospecting emails that you send out, and I want you to send it to yourself and view it on your smart device. How does it look? Now, send it on a smart device. Don't open it. Just look at it in your browser. Because what I found is this. People are far more inclined to delete emails from their smart device than they are from their desktop. Now, what do I mean by this? Well, in a typical browser on a desktop or a laptop, you kind of see much of the message. See, so you don't open it, but you're able to kind of view much of it. But see, on a smart device, on a smartphone, you're only seeing just maybe that first sentence. Wow. Wow. What does that mean? Well, it means there's some very important things that you got to pay attention to. 5 things that you got to pay attention to. Number 1 is the subject line. The subject line has got to be compelling for them. It's the same thing with the voicemail. It's got to be compelling for them. It's not introducing Mark. No, that's stupid. They didn't wake up this morning looking to meet you. They didn't wake up this morning thinking, oh, by golly, I hope this person sends me an email. No. You see, what I got to make sure I'm doing is I've got to make sure that I'm sending an email that comes out to you right currently. And I apologize. How would you suggest using Infofree for prospecting? Yeah, well, that's a great comment, great question. I'm hopefully giving you some ideas, because one of the challenges, and I'm going to answer this question right here, right now. Take the Infofree database and slice it tight. Don't take it broad. What you want to get down to when you start prospecting is start very, very small. And here's why. Start with a small sample. Test it, test it, test it. Don't do broad. But again, I'll kind of walk through, and I apologize, but I want to respond to questions as they pop in. And again, I'm going to share with you my cell number at the end of this and my email, my personal email, so you can reach out to me, because I believe me, I do want to help you one-on-one get prospecting that works for you, especially using Infofree, because I believe in the database. But let's go back to this whole subject line. Subject line. What is this all about? It's got to be tight. Now, think about this. You open up your smartphone. I got my phone somewhere on my desk. I hit it so I don't get to, oh, here it is here. Okay. I open up my phone, and what does it do? It pops up with messages. That's probably the first couple words of that subject line. See, so I got to make sure that subject line is powerful. Year-end tax planning. Home sales in your neighborhood. Malware threats on the cloud. It's got to be something that's going to engage the customer, whether it be B2B or B2C. Now, it's got to be something. And oh, by the way, that first 150 characters of the email has to be spot on for you. Now, remember that's part 2 there. Now, 150 characters is not the magic sum, because everybody's smart device is different. But, you know, mine, I get about 150 characters. Some might be 75, some might be 200, which is why just because you send it to yourself and you look and it looks good on your smart device, don't think it necessarily looks good on everybody else's device. Here's something I found interesting. I like Panera. I probably spend way too much money with Panera, and I have a Panera card. You know, the bakery, coffee, and good stuff. I love their cinnamon rolls. And what's interesting is, as a result, I get emails from Panera, and I'm cool with that. And I really don't open them. Occasionally they remind me, oh, you know what? I haven't been to Panera in a couple of days. I probably should go. See, so you know what's interesting? It's a trigger. But here's the point I want to share with you. I open them up, and they come up scrunched. That's a technical term on my phone. And I go, this is interesting. If Panera can't send me an email that looks good on my smart device, why should I think I can send an email that looks good on a smart device? You see, if somebody as big as Panera can, Yeah, see, so that's why I want to say, I want to keep it very, very simple. And that's why I'm going through these 5 steps here. You see, the first 150 characters, if you don't grab me those first 150 characters, so I might start off by really not saying the same word that I used in my subject line, but something as similar and meaty that's going to grab your attention. Because that's what I want to do to get you to say, wow, I do want to open this. Now, my prospecting email, you notice that point 3 there, 4 to 6. That's it. Now, what I mean by 4 to 6 sentences, what I want to do is I want to have the first 1 or 2 describing the meat, the interest to you. Sentences 3 and 4 are really going to be introducing myself. I didn't use the first sentence to introduce myself. If I use the first sentence to introduce myself, I'm going to see that on Spartan. Hi, my name is, delete. Because I don't need to meet you. You see, this is why it's so critical that I got to have the meat up there in the first sentence. And I'm going to introduce myself in the 3rd and 4th sentence. Then the 5th and 6th sentence, I'm going to say, hey, call me. My phone numbers. I'm always going to put my phone number in there or email me, and we will talk further. I'll be happy to share with you something of that nature. It's very, very simple. I'm going to take 4 to 6 sentences. It can be as short as 2 to 3 sentences. And I'm going to double space between each paragraph. Now, here's why I like double spacing. It makes it come up very clean if they do see it on a tablet or a desktop or a laptop. Email, I like that. It's short. They can read it, digest it quickly. Because again, have you ever received a long email? And what is your tendency? Your tendency is either blow it off or say, I'll get to it later. And get to it later is code for ignore it. Yeah. I want to engage you right now. Now, is this in and of itself going to get you to respond? It may not. The thing. Notice point 4 there. No graphics, images, or links. I can't emphasize this enough. This is why Panera screws it up. They put images in there. They put all kinds of stuff in there. And as a result, it comes through Scrunched. And oh, by the way, you know what you're doing? When you put links and images and so forth in it, you're really inviting spam filters to kick it out. You're really inviting spam filters to kick it out. And again, what good is sending an email if they don't see it? Well, people check their junk file. No, they don't. Some people do, some people don't. I know if you're sending it to business emails or you're sending it to somebody who gets their work, I know company IT systems that are set up where literally the spam folder is not even visible to the employee. Yeah, they just boom, boom. If it's spam, we don't even want you looking at it. So wow. So I want to make it as clean and as simple. I want to invite you to respond to me, which is really, really difficult. Because what I'm doing is this. If I send you more than 3 or 4 emails and you don't respond to me, you're probably going to wind up becoming victim of the spam folder, the junk folder. What do I mean by this? Well, my spam folder is, for instance, just set up, and it's kind of arbitrary, where what happens is when people send me emails, if I don't respond to them and they send me several emails, I'm not going to, it's going to wind up going into spam. And what happens when it goes into spam? I never see it again. Now, what do you think about acquisition email? Well, I love that. But here's what, and I'll tell you what, Joe, reach out to me afterwards, because again, that's a very specific piece. So again, reach out to me at the end, and I'll share with you some very specific things on that, because I want to really understand a little bit more. Now, okay, let's come back to this whole email piece. What I'm doing is I want to send you 3 to 4 emails over the course of several weeks. Now, here's what I found. The more timely the insights I'm sending you, the more frequently I can send them to you, okay? The shorter the sales cycle in terms of what you're selling, the shorter the time in between. In other words, you can send them more frequently. If it's a longer sales cycle, not as timely, then I got to lengthen it out. Now, what do I mean by this? Okay, I might send you, if I'm in a short sales cycle, very timely, I might send you 4 emails in the course of a 2-week period, but then I'm going to stop. If I'm in a longer sales cycle, I might send you 4 emails in the course of 7 weeks. I'm never going to get beyond 4 before stopping. Now, here's why. Again, it's to avoid spam filter. But what I hope is in those 4 emails, you're going to sit there and choose to respond to me. You're going to bounce back something. You're going to say something. Now, here's what I don't like. There's a lot of conversations out there regarding, oh, send out this, well, if you don't reach out to me by tomorrow, I'll assume you died, or I'll assume this, these cute, fancy ones. I hate those. I don't like those. Because now what you're doing is you're really playing an end game. And no, and I never want to have an end game with anybody, because you may not just be right now. I want to hit you 3 or 4 times. If you don't, I'm going to put you away for 3 or 4 months, and then I'm going to come back and I'm going to do it again. The best email, phone, mail, phone call strategy is where I reach out to you for a period of, it might be anywhere between 3 and 7 weeks, depending on the frequency of your purchase cycle, the sales cycle. And if you haven't responded to me, and I've reached out to you maybe 5 to 9 times, again, depending on the business you're in. And if you haven't responded to me, I'm going to step back. I'm going to wait for anywhere between 90 and 120 days. And then I'm going to put you back into the mix. Repeat that process. Don't sit there and say, well, I sent them an email this month. I'm going to send them an email next month and next. No, don't. One email is one and done. It's not going to do anything for you. What I prefer is when I take email and I combine it with phone call. And I really prefer starting with phone call first. Now, here's why. If I can engage you on the telephone, I have the highest probability of success. Email, I tend to get more of a deferred. So what I do, and again, that's why I come back and I don't like this whole freeway standpoint. Just let me send out 1,000 emails every day, and somewhere down the road, I'm going to catch somebody. Don't do that. Again, what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to be very deliberate, just very on target. So the strategy I might be using here when I'm combining all of these devices together, the phone and the email, is I'm sending you what I call 6 emails, 6 contacts in a 30-day period. So I might phone, email, phone, email, phone. And that may have been 7, that may have been 8. I don't. But what I do is I like to do 6, somewhere between 5 and 9 contacts in the course of between 5 and 9 weeks. That's kind of a good sum of what I found. Here's one of the critical problems that people have when it comes to prospecting. They don't follow up. They don't follow up. They don't follow up, and they don't follow through. Now, what do I mean by this? What I find here is that people are sitting here saying, I'm going to send out all these emails. Well, nobody responded. So I move on. No, I repeat. And I do it again and again. But when somebody responds to you, and there have been enough studies on this, that if you choose to wait 24 hours or a day or 2 to respond, you've lost. You've lost. When that person responds in that email, you want to bounce back to them as quickly as possible. Dead serious on this. Don't sit there and delay. Speed wins more deals. What is the point of prospecting if you don't follow up? Think about that for a moment. Think about that. You see, success and failure are really, really very close. And I firmly believe it really comes down to just simply your ability to connect with them as fast as possible. You see, you might be thinking about your prospect, but your prospect's not thinking about you. So when they are thinking about you, you better reach out to them, because your objective is to get through that door as fast as you possibly can. As soon as that door opens, run through it. This is the same way with voicemail. How quickly, if somebody calls you and leaves you a voicemail, how quickly do you respond? Now, I'll share with you right here in my own office, we're having a problem with this because we're stretched resource-wise. We are stretched. And I hate to say it because I travel a tremendous amount. When I mean I travel, I mean, just last week I was in Brazil. That's an 11-hour flight one way and an 11-hour flight back. And oh, by the way, I was only there a day, but I'm on the plane a lot. And I can't get always good Wi-Fi. So there are going to be times but wow, I got to make sure that I'm responding to those prospecting emails as rapidly as possible. Here's your trick. Here's your art of the follow-up. Art of the follow-up is to immediately get back to them and don't just answer their question. Don't. That's a big mistake. You want to ask them another question. Here's what I mean. They may say, hey, great, share me some information. It's great. So send them a little bit, but ask them another question or two. Your objective is to keep the dialogue going. What are you doing? I want to uncover more information. Too many people in the follow-up, they wind up playing customer service role. And they wind up just saying, okay, well, I'm just going to give you all the information that you want right here to help you make a decision. No, I never do this from an email standpoint. I got to get you on the phone, which means I've got to be moving as rapidly as possible. Now, am I better off? This is a question that gets asked me. Am I better off responding even if I don't know how to answer their question, or should I wait? And I'm going to say this, respond anyway. Now, don't have an autoresponder. I do not like autoresponders. Thank you for sending us the email. Somebody will be back in touch with you. I hate those. That is like robot. If somebody sends me an email, I had this happen to me the other day, okay? I mean, we send out emails. We make a lot of phone calls. We practice what we preach. We eat our dog food. And somebody sent me back a question. That was a good question. And I wrote back and I said, hey, great question about this. And I'm tied up with a client, but I'll be back with you as soon as I can. And it's interesting. The person bounced back and said, wow, I wasn't expecting an answer so quick. Thank you. Very much appreciate it. They were blown away. They were blown away because it was a personal response, not a robot response. Think about that with how you follow up. The follow-up is going to determine whether or not you are going to be successful. Now, somebody just asked, what do I sell? What do I sell? I sell prospecting services. That's what I sell. You see? So really, if you stop and think about it, what I sell is I help companies and I help individuals find better customers that they can close at full price. Yeah. That's why I was so excited when Infofree asked me, because I'm a fan of Infofree. I love their database. They said, hey, would you help us do some webinars to help show people how to use Infofree? That's why I love doing this. And that's why I'm going to come back and I'm going to do a little bit of a shout out here for Infofree. The Infofree database, if you think about it, how frequently it updates itself, how frequently, because they're continuously pulling in new records. What do they do? And they're refreshing it. And they're getting new and always updated information. So what does that do? A search that you did last month is going to be warrant doing it again this month, because again, stuff changes. And again, what I want to do is I want to be front end. I want to be fast. I want to be there. Now, where is all this coming to in terms of helping me get through the door? The art of the follow-up. And the art of the follow-up is not just in an email, but it's in a voicemail, it's in a phone call. Here's one other trick, one other technique that I love about following up with people. What I want to do is this. I want to sit there and I may have your phone number and I have your email. Okay. You weren't responding to my phone calls, but you responded to my email. My response is I'm immediately going to call you. See, I'm going to call you. I always want to make my first follow-up be calling. Then, if I have the phone number. See, if I don't have the phone number, then I do have to follow up by way of email. But I know I'm going to be more successful when I get you on the phone. Now, some of you might be saying, wow, that's bordering on pest. No, it's not pestering people. It's not. Because remember, they chose to engage with me. And what am I doing? I'm using the clock. I'm using the time with me. Now, as we kind of start to wrap up here, let me share with you again, what are these 4 things here? And let me just walk through a couple quick things. Making the first call. If you're the least bit hesitant about making the first call, I just can't call. I'm just scared on the phone. Here's what I want you to do. Make your first call to a friendly customer. Make your first call to your customer. Because what's going to happen is you're going to call your customer and your customer is going to say, hey, thanks. Yeah, great. Hey, I love you. I love what you do. I really like that. What is that doing? That's motivating you. That's saying, hey, you know what? It works right. If you have a problem making that first call, here's what I want you to do. I want you to take and I want you to print out every success story you've ever had shared with you by one of your customers. You print it out and you have it right there by your desk. Go, wow, that's cool. They may have shared this with you on the telephone. Then you know what? Type it up, print it out. But you have them there. You have those success stories there. Because what it is about is this. It's not what you're selling. It's about what you're doing to help people. This, you say, okay, I'm calling a lot of people. And I get this all the time. I coach salespeople all the time. And they say, wow, I didn't get anybody to respond today. And I go, that's fine. That's okay. You know what? Because what I like about telephone is I never know who's going to be on the next phone call. I never know who's going to be on the next phone call. Yeah, that's what keeps me going. Voicemail. I don't hesitate to leave a voicemail. Some people say, well, I don't want to leave a voicemail. I'm just going to call back again. And I'm going to say, you know what? No. Because there are some people who simply do not answer the telephone. They just do not. And if you wait for them to answer, you'll never reach them. So guess what? I got to do it. But if you follow the rules that I said, the 11 to 14 second voicemail, energy, and make it about them, not you, guess what? They may just choose to call you back and engage with you. And oh, by the way, think about this. If I leave an 11 to 14 second voicemail, that means I can really be calling a lot more people. Yeah. Number 3, email. Email strategies that work. It's not about sending out cute little emails or saying, hey, did you get my last voicemail? Or hey, did you get my last phone call? No, it is about it. And I'm going to get really warmed up. It is about making each one unique, each one different. Again, use the CRM system. And if you don't have a CRM system, use the Infofree CRM system to be able to help you understand. This is how you can combine these two together. Because now, okay, today I called you. A couple of days from now, I send you an email. And oh, by the way, do this also. This is, again, a very basic principle. Never contact people at the same time every day or at the same day every week. I love using the 4-day strategy. What's the 4-day strategy? The 4-day strategy is this. Okay. If I try to reach out to you Monday morning at 10 o'clock and you don't respond, 4 days later, Friday, I'm going to reach out to you Friday at 4 o'clock. You don't respond. Now that may be an email, okay? I'm going to send you what's 4 days, 4 work days. That's going to be Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. I'm going to try you Thursday at 1 o'clock. I'm always going to try using a different day of the week and a different time of the day. And you've got to be making note of that. Number 4, the art of the follow-up. What is the art of the follow-up? The art of the follow-up is simply this. Not only are you repeating the back of the shampoo bottle, but when that person responds, you come back very quickly. But please never, ever not ask them another question. Because what I want to do is I want to earn the right, the privilege, honor, and respect to be able to share with you again more information. Now, I'm going to start wrapping this up here because I'm going to share with you. I'm going to kind of open up. I got the dialogue box open, so go ahead and send in whatever questions you want, but I'm going to share with you a couple more pieces. I'm going to give you my cell number. I'm going to give you my email, and I'm going to do this. Now, if you call me right after this and you get a voicemail, you know what? I unfortunately have another conference call coming up here at the top of the hour. So I apologize if I don't pick up, but I will get back to you. Now, here's the whole thing. What were the things that you wrote down on your notepad? Here's what I want you to do. I want you to take one idea, telephone, one idea regarding voicemail, one idea regarding email, one idea regarding follow-up, and just put that into practice. Say, Mark, that's too confusing for me. Okay, fine. Then you know what? Just take 2 or 3 ideas from email or 2 or 3 ideas from voicemail. Don't try to put in play 4 or 5 things from each one of these things. It's simply not going to work. It was very interesting, but when I was writing the book, High Profit Prospecting, I had one of the people who was proofing it said, Mark, you know what? You have over 1,000 different ideas in there that people can use. And I go, yeah, you're right. It is. It's like 1,000 different ideas in there, probably way more than that. And I said, I don't ever expect anybody to put them all to use. But again, if you put 1 or 2 in there and you're successful, you will be that much more successful. Because again, what I'm going to challenge you is this. At the end of the day, your prospecting comes down to this. I want to be having better conversations with fewer prospects. Think about that. Better conversations with fewer prospects. Now, that means I may have to start very wide, very big. See, again, that's why I love the Infofree database, because I can look at the data so many different, but I got to keep slicing it down. And ultimately, what I do is I find that sweet spot where I want to be. That's where I have to go. Now, here's one other piece. Never give up on a strategy until you have used it at least 2 times longer than your selling process. Where are you going with this? Here's the problem. Too many people put their toe in the water. They try something. And they give up after a week. How do you know? If your typical selling process is 2 months, change that strategy until you've used it for at least 4 months. It may say it takes me about 4 months to go from a lead to a customer. Then guess what? Don't change that strategy for 8 months. Because otherwise what happens is you're never going to really fully understand whether or not that strategy works. And oh, by the way, you know what I found in prospecting? The best strategy, consistently delivered strategy that works. And that really is pretty controversial if you think about it. It's not the best strategy that always wins, but the consistently delivered strategy that always wins. That's why I shared with you the follow-up. Because if you're not following up, you're losing a tremendous amount of business. Hey, the folks at Infofree really are the ones that have brought me on board and allowing me to share this with you. Now, I said I was going to give you something. Hey, there it is. That's my cell number. That's not my office number. That's my cell number. And that's my personal email. Don't hesitate to call me. And now, don't just say, the offer isn't just today. The offer is anytime. Because again, I am so committed to having you prospect more effectively. Because I know you absolutely can prospect more effectively. That many times it's just a little bit of a wiggle and a little bit of a shake. And again, I've been doing this long enough that I've got some really good strategies that I'm going to help you do that. So whether or not you send me an email or you call me, hey, I'll follow up with you. I want to make sure that you are successful. Here's why. When you take a company, a solution like Infofree, in and of itself, it doesn't do anything. But when you combine it with your process and you activate it, it's amazing how much more successful you're going to be on that. And again, that's what makes prospecting all about. Now, let me wrap this up by saying 2 things. Okay. We're doing this live on a Friday. We got 8 weeks left in the year. That is an incredible, powerful period of time because it's amazing the number of customer decisions in both B2B and B2C that are going to be made. Don't think your prospecting ends. Believe me, it keeps going. It keeps going and going and going. Right now is I think, the best time of the year. because there's so many decisions people need to be making in virtually every business out there. But here's what I want to do as my goal. Every day, I make my goal to influence and impact people positively. When I influence and impact people positively, guess what? I've earned the right, the privilege, honor, and respect to be able to come back and meet with you again. I may make 25 prospecting calls. I might make 100 prospecting calls. I might leave 35 voicemails. I might do whatever it is. And I may only have 1 or 2 live connections all day. But you know what? I've still had the privilege of leaving with people the energy and a solution and an idea that hopefully one day we will connect. Because I look at this, it's not a matter of if we're going to do business. It's only a matter of when we're going to do business. And when I take that approach, prospecting becomes absolutely fun. It becomes a kick in the pants. Because guess what? I can't close any deals until I first prospect. And I can't put food on my table until I first close deals. And I can't close deals until I first prospect. So guess what? I'm going to invite you this afternoon. It's 2:00 Eastern time already. I'm going to invite you. Hey, it is a great afternoon to be making phone calls. Mark Hunter, the Sales Hunter, great selling. Send in your questions. The recording is going to end here in just a moment. But again, let me put that phone number and that email up there. There it is. That's my cell number. 402-598-6194. My email, mark@thesaleshunter.com. It's there for you. Take advantage of it. Great selling.